Hello and welcome to the 165th edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer, and of course, my co-host, Todd TC Corder. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, Apple and Spotify. Our personal X's at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Junior for Wayne, and at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, and of course at LG, the number 4, Real Though, for Larry Gardner, who is out with the Rome Emperors this evening. TC, how you doing this evening, buddy?
Doing fantastic. As everyone knows here, the Atlanta Braves have been slumping a little bit. 6 over 500, 10 back of Philadelphia. A lot of panic in town, which is not necessary when you play 162 and you got about 100 to go. I know this is a team that's really hit the baseball well over the previous season. Started off, 18-6 and played under 500 since. The players like Albies, Riley, Olson, Harris, and et cetera, they're just not hitting what the back of the baseball card says. They will in due time. They may not win the division. It's still a long way to go. They haven't been this Philadelphia hasn't led the division by 10 or 11 since 1993. We'll see how they handle it. And with the major tournament now that is in Major League Baseball instead of a playoff, anything can happen. Look at Arizona, 84 and 78 a year ago. I think everybody needs to take a chill pill and let the season play out. Plus, Alex Anthopoulos, one of the best GMs in the game. You know he's going to get a bat. You know the players are going to hit what the card says, and they might even pick up a pitcher. We'll see how it turns out. Patience.
Yeah, no need to.
Patience
well
is
said.
what you need.
Patience is the key there. Well said. Well said. Sorry to cut you off there. Wayne,
No, sorry.
how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm excited about the Birmingham Stallions and the Michigan Brahmas in the UFL Championship. That'll be something exciting to look forward to.
That'll be that is not Michigan. They beat the Michigan Panthers in the semifinal.
Okay.
That is going to be I believe, the San Antonio Brahmas, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they beat Michigan last week. Thanks for that reminder.
Well, guys, I'm doing well, but right now I have my full thoughts and prayers going out to the family of Jerry West, who passed away this morning at the age of 86. The NBA Hall of Famer was the inspiration for the NBA's logo and was not only a great player, but a great GM as well for the Showtime Lakers. Rest in peace, Jerry West. And again, prayers and thoughts go out to the West family. What's on tap today? We have author David Morris of Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny joining us, talking about the current state of college athletics, and we'll promote his new book, Should Caitlin Clark Be on the Olympic Team? We talk NBA and NHL finals, and we will throw some Aaron Rodgers talk into it. It's why I got the Jets shirt on. Wouldn't wear it for any other reason. And without further ado, the author of Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny, David Morris, joins us. Dave, thanks for coming on, and how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. I just want to say that I'm really happy to be with you, and I really appreciate the invite. And I also want you to know that I'm a very big Braves fan, and I'm getting a little panicky. But hopefully they'll turn things around. So
I think we got to. I'm a big fan too, Dave, and I got to calm myself down. And I got to listen to Todd because it is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and these guys are going to hit the back of their baseball card. So I think we should all, as a fan base, pump the brakes twice, look left, look right, and realize we still got close to 100 games left in this bad boy. A little over, actually. So we'll hopefully turn things around. But we'll start things off with Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny, your latest book. Tell our listeners, without giving it away, of course, a little synopsis about the book and how our listeners can buy it right now.
Okay, so first of all, I'm happy to be on your show, especially you being in Atlanta, because that's actually where I started my career in education in DeKalb County. So it's nice to be back there. And I really loved it when I lived there and taught and coached there at Clarkston High School in DeKalb. But first of all, after my 45-year career in education as a teacher in high school, professor in college, student academic advisor, coach, and athletic administrator at both the high school and college level, I've been interested in writing a book on this topic about student athletes. So after I retired 2.5 years ago, I started putting my ideas together and over the last year really buckled down with it and put this book out. But basically, my intention is to just let people know what the real philosophy should be about student athletics. And sometimes I just feel like parents have the wrong approach to things. Sometimes student athletes do, maybe even coaches and administrators. And I just really try to focus on getting everybody to understand that academics should be first, and then athletics, and then preparing them for life and being successful in whatever they might do in life. So that's what really the book is all about. There's 15 chapters in it. Some of the basic topics are, the usual things as far as nutrition, strength and conditioning, working on skills, some of the normal athletic things, but a lot of academic things, and especially since I've been an academic advisor, a lot of tips and suggestions on how to be successful academically as far as time management, studying for final exams, tests, things like that. And then a lot of the new topics and issues that are going on in the world of athletics as far as the mental part of things and mental well-being, which has been a real big thing over the last few years. And then also NIL things, talking about recruiting and mentioning and introducing the concept of the transfer portal, things like that. But then even getting them to think beyond high school and college as far as career exploration and community service and lots of different topics. But it's just a kind of a holistic approach to things, getting people to try to keep things in perspective. And as we know, sometimes people are just focused on making it to the big leagues and getting drafted, and they don't really keep things in perspective and have the right philosophy. So I've wanted to do this for a long time. So
appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate it a lot. Just to let you know, before I get into the question or comment here, I do host a Philadelphia Phillies alumni podcast with a former World Series champion of the Phillies back in 1980, Warren Brewster. He played with the likes of Pete Rose and Mike Schmidt, et cetera. And if you ever wanted to check it out, it is on Facebook. I know it's the division rival, but we did talk about the Atlanta club today. And if you're interested in that, please do check it out. My name again is Todd Corder. That would be on Facebook. Also, I think you wrote this book at an excellent time, sir, because of what's going on in college athletics. The focus now on a lot of these kids. Well, let's face it, it's the money. It's the money. It's the NIL. It seems like the last thing is the academics, and your approach is the academics first. I actually just got off the phone with a friend of mine from high school, and his son is being looked at by several colleges, some at the D2 level, some at the D1. And, the first thing we stressed and throughout the entire conversation was academics. You've got these kids now transferring schools, some almost every year. What's your advice in terms of the NIL and the portal? I know it's academics first, but a lot of these kids get a lot of bad advice from a lot of bad people out there trying to steer kids the wrong way. how should one handle that, sir?
No, that's an excellent point, and I'm not sure I have the perfect answer to how to resolve that, but it's becoming a huge issue, as you mentioned, and I really hate to see the landscape of college athletics changing so much in this way. And I know I'm an old traditional person, and as you mentioned, the money is the biggest thing that has changed things. But now with the transfer portal, and like you said, people transferring every single year for mainly NIL money and maybe other reasons to try to win a national championship or whatever. And a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with academics. And that's why I think it's so important. And hopefully this book might help people to realize it, is that starting in even end of middle school, and the book is really primarily for high school and college, but even starting in middle school, trying to get student athletes who want to participate and go on and, to a higher level, realize that, the academics is the most important thing. And that was the one thing I stressed from day one when I was a teacher and coach. And sometimes it's a battle, and the money talks, and I'm kind of glad I'm not coaching college baseball anymore like I did, because, it's just a shame to see so many kids leave immediately after the season to take more money at another school for NIL. And it's just a shame. And, if it was a reason like academics or personal reasons or whatever, that's one thing. But when it comes down to the money, I just think that, like you mentioned, they're being misled by people. I think the intent of it was to try to keep coaches away from offering athletes money and having some other agents involved. But from what I understand and what I read, and not being directly involved with it anymore, I think there's so many people out there now that are trying to get their hands into it, that talk the kids into all these NIL deals. And it's just become even worse, in my opinion. And I just think it's really affected the college sports to a very large degree.
You're listening to David Morris, author of Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny, available now on Amazon Prime, Barnes and Noble, anywhere you buy your books. I'm pretty sure it'll pop right up there. Just Google David Morris. And again, Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny. With this new world of college athletics, Dave, new ruling, as a former Rhode Island baseball coach, you worked for the Cincinnati Reds. These NCAA schools can now directly pay athletes. One, do you think it's good? And explain your answer on that, because I still think it's mind-blowing. I thought this was amateurs, but you know what? It's becoming more and more like semi-pro football and baseball and basketball at the NCAA level. It's becoming more athlete-student than student-athlete. What's your thoughts on that new ruling? And is it good or not for college baseball, basketball, football, all the sports?
Yeah, I was very disappointed to hear that new ruling, because, once again, I know it's trying to have the money come from a good source, and the colleges try to bring in that revenue and money to distribute to the student athletes. But once again, it just comes down to the money. And as I mentioned, I'm an old-fashioned traditionalist, where I wish it was more of an amateur sport. Can't do anything about it anymore because it's beyond that now. And I just think that hopefully the colleges will, yes, they'll try to pass out and give money to student athletes to help them through their education and through their athletics while they're playing college, but at the same time to realize that they need to focus on getting a degree. and that's what they're supposed to be there for. And one thing that's going to be difficult is when student athletes are transferring 2 or 3 different times through transfer portal. I don't even see how some students can really even end up graduating. And I just think that's a shame. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of them that really want to still graduate, and that's a great thing for them. And I give them kudos for doing that. But I think there'll be so many that are just transferring for the wrong reason. And I just think it comes down to the coaches, the administrators, and just trying to get the right philosophy and the right approach to everybody. But it's going to be a big challenge. I know that to everybody. So,
Dave, this is something that because I broadcast college basketball at the Division II level. You'll see a lot of kids come in for a year, they go out. Not now at any level in any sport is anything promised. The scholarship can be taken away at any time. They can bring somebody else in. It really is what you call unlimited free agency in sports. Everyone is a free agent at the college level at the end of the season. What are your thoughts on that? Number one, how does the kid handle that? Because he could get in the portal and he could find out, there's all these opportunities. And then he gets undercut by a kid who's better coming in, or that school perceives that kid to be better coming in. And then he turns around after all these times, he can't find a scholarship at another school. He goes back to the original school and they go, no, we don't have a spot for you. What is your advice on that, number one? And number two, what is your favorite part of the book and why?
All right, that's a good question. I'll take the first one. First of all, that's going to be a real challenge. And I can see that unfortunately happening quite a bit. Where they think they're going to get a good deal and they're planning on going somewhere, and then they find out that they've already brought in 10, 12 other people and some of them the same position and so forth, and then they're going to want to go back or go somewhere else. And I think this is just opening a can of worms. But I think that's when it comes back to, hopefully if they're educated in high school, and their parents and some other close people to them and coaches and so forth just are very honest with them and tell them what they can do for them when they first go to that school, and what they're going to try to do for them to be successful academically and athletically, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, and just take a real sincere interest in them and show them that they want them to be there and they're going to be there for them, versus every coach just every year trying to go out and get brand new players and just bring in, whoever is interested in coming to them. And I think, I'm not saying my book is going to be the answer to it, but I think it starts in, once again, lower levels in high school, and the way they're brought up, and close people that are telling them the right things about the philosophy that they should have, and that it's not all about money. It's not all about just jumping around. Yeah, some kids might be disappointed about lack of playing time or some personal issues, or maybe not happy with the academics. But if it comes down to just money and just trying to figure out where to go in the right place, I just think we're going in the wrong direction as far as college athletics. And to answer your second question, I really enjoyed every aspect of it. I'm glad you asked that question. One of the things that, two things. One, I meant to do it earlier when I was talking about the book, but one thing that I think is a really neat thing about the book is that besides the chapters and different information, and it's really more of a a handbook or a guide. It's not just, paragraphs and chapters and so forth. But one of the other neat things that the students seem to really like, but even any reader, is that I've incorporated QR codes in every single chapter. There's a few in every chapter. So I, talk about the basics of that topic and issue in a few pages, but then there are QR codes that can be scanned, and it will give the reader access to websites, to articles, to videos, and just give more information about the actual topic that's being talked about, whether it's J.J. McCarthy's meditation process, or Coach K's motivational techniques, or whatever it might be. I just really think it's a neat thing, and everybody seems to like it. But as far as one of the topics, I felt like, and I've been out of coaching in the last 22 years. I've been more a professor in sports management, but I've been very interested in the mental well-being issue, and how many athletes have really suffered mentally. And we've had some very sad cases where college athletes, high school athletes have taken their life over many different mental pressures and issues that they've had. So to be honest with you, I was not an expert in that field, versus I felt like I was very knowledgeable with a lot of the other topics, and I had to do a lot of research on it. And I just think that there's a lot of things that the athletic program and coaches can do to identify student athletes with potential athletic issues or personal issues, and be able to help them immediately. The athletic department being able to offer services and guidance, and many schools are starting to do that, get more staffing into their athletic programs to do that. But I really not only enjoyed it myself, but I just really think that it's a very serious issue. And I think anybody that reads the book and maybe's had those type of issues before, or might have those in the future, can really refer to that and get some help right away. But that's one topic that I really thoroughly enjoyed.
You're listening to David Morris, author of Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny, a handbook really for upcoming high school and college student athletes. Dave, that really hits home to me, the mental awareness part of that book, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy and start reading it, because it hits home to me. I suffer from depression and anxiety as well, and I love to see these college coaches have mental sports psychologists on their teams, like Kirby Smart does at UGA, and you're seeing coaches let other coaches have time for mental health and stuff like that. So I think the stigma around mental health is finally being lifted a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that chapter. Speaking of the book, and this will be our final question, and we'll get you out of here because I know your time is valuable. What universities, what coaches, athletes did you talk to in research for this book?
Well, mainly, I was at Johnson & Wales, like I mentioned, before I retired, which is a Division III school. But I reached out to a few student athletes, some of my former players who actually wrote testimonials for me for the book, but also to ask them certain questions about different topics. I honestly did not go to, big time Division I athletes, but most of my research was just books, articles, different things like that, to try to get a better handle and understanding. I think not that COVID didn't have a big impact on it, but I think that some people always kind of blame COVID for a lot of things. And I know that it contributed to a lot of, health and even mental health issues. But, these mental health issues in athletics have been going on for years and years. And I think it's just kind of come to the forefront over, the last maybe 5 years or so because of these tragedies, maybe because of COVID, and some other situations, but it's been around. And I agree with you that we all have gone through depression and had mental health issues, and we need help when we have those kind of problems. So knowing how to reach out and having people around you and surround you that can give you that support is extremely important. So
That's awesome. Well, David, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Please tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you. I know you gave me an email. If you want to shout that out, you don't have to, but how they get in touch with you and how they purchase your book, Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny.
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned the primary sites are the usual Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but any book outlet has the book. So if anybody uses some other sources, you can definitely track down the book. My email is Dave, DAVE, MJW29 @gmail.com, and you're certainly welcome to reach out to me with an email. And then also my website, which has a lot of information on it about the book, is David Town, TOWN Morris, all one word, .com. So you're welcome to reach that. I'm not really a big other social media person, so I don't have a lot of other social media, but those sources are great. So I would look forward to people reaching out to me, and I'd really love you all to buy the book. And once again, I thank you very much for helping with the promotion of it, and I really appreciate it.
Well, we are glad to have you on, and you're welcome anytime. You've been a wonderful guest. And again, it's Dave Morris, author of Student Athletes Control Your Own Destiny. Go buy your copy today, ATL Prime Sports listeners. Dave, thanks for joining us, man. You have a great rest of your week.
All right, thank you. You too. And I'm going to be watching you all the time. So I look forward to it. So.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you can just drop off, or if you want to join in and mute your mic for the rest of the show, you're more than welcome to do that as well, Dave. So we appreciate your time. We'll move on from David Morris to the NBA. The Boston Celtics lead the NBA Finals 2-0. Game 3 tipping off shortly. Are the Mavs done? I'll start this off, guys. I'll say absolutely not. The Mavs just need to play a little bit more complimentary basketball. Luka doesn't need to lead every stat category every night, Todd. I just think the guy needs to dish to Kyrie a little bit more. I think Kyrie needs to put the ball in the basket a little bit more and have a couple more assists as well. Again, complimentary basketball. I think three-point shooting has been the key in this series. Dallas is only shooting 24.5% from beyond the arc at 13 for 53. And while Boston, on the other side of that, Boston's shooting 32%, a little bit better clip, but they've shot 81 threes in this series. They made 26 of them. And again, three-point shooting has been the key for Boston's 2-0 lead. They have 60. That's right. I had to double-check that a bunch of times. 60 catch-and-shoot threes, meaning they're getting open and they're having open looks at that basket without having to take a dribble, really set their shot and make it. And that's the key. They're again, 60 threes on catch-and-shoot opportunities, while Dallas just has 28. But I do think the home court advantage, Dallas plays well there. I think they'll get the game to get it to 2-1 tonight. Todd, what say you?
Look, Porzingis is the entire deal. He's not going to play tonight. He's been ruled out. And look, this is going to change defensively for Boston. It's also going to change Dallas offensively. When Porzingis was in the game, Boston, he was a rim protector. He's a rim protector. It kept Dallas from not going inside. Now that he's not there, you're going to see Dallas take the ball to the rack, get it inside, and exploit the weakness of Porzingis not being in there for Boston defensively. Also, Al Horford, the former Atlanta Hawk, becomes really important now in this series. He's going to have to step up for Porzingis. And that, to me, is the key to the rest of the series. He has that injury, that leg injury, and we'll see if he can go ahead and step in and see if he can get back in the series. You know, one statistic, since you're a big stat guy, to me, the Celtics were a plus 25 in the 44 minutes Boston had Porzingis on the floor for the first two games, and were even in the 52 minutes he was on the bench. Well, now he'll be on the bench the entire game. This is the opportunity for Dallas to get back in it, take the ball to the rack, and get it inside. And if you're the Celtics, you got to hope that Al Horford and company step up. And, of course, Jason Tatum, a top 5 player in this league, they're going to need him to step up to more defensively, because offensively he's a triple-double. And we'll see with a Porzingis injury. To me, this is the biggest key, how it turns the remainder of the series.
Yeah, well said about Porzingis being out. That is a huge factor. I'm glad you mentioned that one. But, yeah, more complimentary ball and take advantage of Kristaps Porzingis being out. Guys, let's transition from the NBA Finals to more WNBA Olympic basketball talk. Should Caitlin Clark have been on the Olympic team this year? Todd, we'll start with you, man.
Well, there's just no question about it. Look, the Olympics had never been about the best 12 basketball players on the court, men or women. I said it last night. I did a show on X. You can check it out live. You can check it on ATL Prime Sports. You can check it out at Corder Todd. This is a failure of basic business in sports. That's it. Caitlin Clark brings eyeballs to the stands. She sold out the arena in D.C. Her team is 2-9. Washington, Indiana, 2-9. The Fever. Washington is winless. They average 4,000 a game. She comes along and they sell out a 20,000-seat arena. She's so popular. She's the biggest name in basketball since LeBron James, and possibly bigger than that. Her national championship game, when her Iowa teammates played South Carolina and lost, has been the most watched basketball game, college or professional, of the year. If you're NBC, you really got to be ticked off. You're losing a lot of money in ratings. I mean, to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. It's just stupid that she's not on the Olympic team. You know, these WNBA players, they want more. They want to travel private. They don't want to travel commercial. They want all these benefits. Yeah. Well, guess what? They get it with Caitlin Clark. They get it off the court, and they get it on the court, because when they're playing with Clark, she's going to make everyone more popular on that floor, and she's going to make them a better player. Do you want to be well-known? Put Caitlin Clark on the team. The WNBA has been looking for decades to grow their game, and they blew the best thing that ever happened. And these folks that are saying that she can play in 4 years, what happens if she gets hurt and she blows her knees out, can't play again? She's the golden ticket. I have a saying in sports. You guys know what it is. 3 words. Follow the money, follow Caitlin Clark, and that's how you do it. She's a huge ticket. She's a Michael Jordan of basketball today in terms of popularity. Never been about the best 12 players. Christian Laettner surely wasn't one of the best 12 players in basketball when he was on the Dream Team. So I don't know why they don't like her, but they don't. They treat her rough on the court. We've mentioned it. So, you know, this is a situation where you need to embrace Caitlin Clark and not run away from her.
Yeah, no, I agree with every word you just said. Look, I think she can help grow the NBA brand internationally. Basically cash in on the cash cow right now. You know, you mentioned an injury could prevent anything from happening. You know, it's to me, it's asinine. This lady is a great basketball player at college, the all-time Division I leader in points scored, men or women. She's currently top 15 in scoring, 16 and just about 16 and a half a game, fourth in assists in the WNBA at 6 a game, tied fourth in three-point field goals made per game, over 2.8 there. And she's 17th in steals in a game at over 1.5 steals. She's 20th in the WNBA in blocks, averaging right around 1 a game. And she's top 30 in rebounds, right at 5 a game. So this girl right now is probably a top 30, top 20 NBA player, WNBA player. And to me, she's right outside that threshold. You mentioned Christian Laettner, spot on. Sometimes it's a popularity contest, and that's what you need to grow the WNBA. You mentioned it, Todd. The WNBA wanted charter flights. Caitlin Clark comes in the league. The draft is the most watched draft ever, and instantaneously they get chartered flights this season. To me, the math ain't mathin' if you're snubbing Caitlin Clark of an Olympic basketball team bid. Guys, let's go from there. Good conversation there. We'll go from the WNBA, NBA. We'll click over to the NHL finals real quick. The Panthers took advantage of home ice. Went up 2-0. Back in Canada tomorrow night. Will the Oilers get back in this series? I think they will, Todd. Tomorrow night, they're minus 135 betting favorites. Key number for Edmonton, Todd. You probably already know it, 3. You can't let the Panthers get to 3 goals or more because during the season, when they scored 3+ goals, in alarmingly good, Todd. 50 games over 500, 59-9 and 3 to be exact. So the Oilers got to get their goalkeeper hot. Florida's goalkeeper, good Lord, only allowed one goal in the 20, 30 saves he's got. He's been playing lights out. Bobrovsky, I hope I pronounced that right. But Florida's goalkeeper's hot. Edmonton's got to get hot. I think they can get back in the series with the win tomorrow night. Your thoughts on the NHL Finals?
Well, Sergei Bobrovsky could run for mayor of Miami right now and win it. He is so far through 2 games. The goaltender for Florida is the MVP. He basically took Florida on their back in game 1 and won it for them. Game 2, a little bit different story. The goaltender for Edmonton, Joshua Skinner, a hometown kid from Edmonton, Alberta. He wants to become the town mayor. No problem. You win games 3 and 4 in Edmonton, you're going to get a sold-out crowd. It's going to be loud. There hasn't been a finals, an NHL Stanley Cup finals played in Canada in many, many years. You had the 2020 where the Montreal Canadiens were in, but it was during the COVID season, so it was played with no fans at one location. This year, it'll be a sold-out crowd. The seats are going for a wreck amount of money in Edmonton. And, the Oilers, they look, this is a great hockey team, but Skinner's got to step up his game. And also Edmonton, they've got to start getting a little more physical. Stay away from the dirty stuff. Get pucks to the net. Get in front of the net. Get traffic in front of the net. Do not try to make the perfect pass. Make it look a little ugly. Bear down. And the only way you're going to beat Bobrovsky is high. If you get him up high above the shoulder, that's where you beat him. The goal that they've scored in this series, ironically, was a goal that Bobrovsky normally stopped when it just went right between his legs and it trickled through him as he had a screen. So, screen, getting in front of that goaltender is huge. Also, the play in the neutral zone. Edmonton's got to start winning those battles in the neutral zone so they can get the 3-on-2s, the 2-on-1s, the Connor McDavids, the Draisaitls, the great players that they have. Great players play great in big games. It's time for Edmonton's big guns to step up. If you're Florida and you're looking to get better, well, you can. Matthew Tkachuk, a big gun, probably the best American player in the world right now, a fabulous hockey player. Get him to light the lamp. But I'll tell you what, it all comes down to game 3 for me. If Florida wins game 3, it's going to be over. You're not going to win 4 in a row against the Panthers. These are the 2 best teams since the midway point of the season. If you're Edmonton, you get these next 2 games at home, you've got an even Steven shot the rest of the way. I think it's going to go 6 or 7 just because Edmonton is too talented offensively and you can't keep them down.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I could care less which one of these teams wins, because as long as it ain't the Habs, right?
Oh, you know what? Coming from a Toronto guy, you know what? I like to hear that. But I tell you, the folks in Canada, they really still believe that Edmonton can win 4 or 5. Well, the only way they're going to win 4 or 5 is to solve that Bobrovsky riddle and get it up above his shoulder and make some great shots. Stay out of the box. They took some silly penalties in game 2, and Florida scored a foul power play goal. As Keith Jackson would say in college football, special teams, special teams, special teams, and special teams in hockey, the PK and the PP are critical. Should be a fun series tomorrow night. It's way better than the NBA, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I think it's exciting as all get out. The NHL is at an all-time viewership, and it's only getting bigger and bigger with the really the accessibility you have to watch it as a fan. Hey, it's on ESPN. Boop, let's go. Guys, let's move from the NHL. I'm wearing the Jets shirt for a reason. That means we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, guys. It's Aaron Rodgers' world, and the Jets are just living in it. Aaron Rodgers is not at Jets minicamp. Is this a big deal? Not a big deal? Mild deal? Where do you put it? I'll tee this bad boy off. Look, I say Coach Saleh said he and his quarterback are on the same page, and it's more of an outside the building issue than an inside the building issue, something along those lines. I'm in the mild. I think it's a mild deal because he is coming back from injury and he needs to gel with his new teammates. Plus, he's missing all 3 of the workouts as opposed to just a single day. So I do think there's a little bit here. If he wasn't coming off an injury, I'd say, hey, it's Aaron Rodgers, whatever. But no, this guy's coming off an injury. He played 4 plays of football last year, and that was it. So I think he needs to get back, gel with the teammates. The absence is unexcused. He will be subject to NFL fines for the amounts of $16,953, $33,000 and $33,908, and on the 3rd day he will be fined over $50,000, totaling $101,716. Excuse me, dyslexia, you got the best of me there. But over $100,000 just to miss minicamp. I wish I could do that. But again, I say it's a mild issue here because in the offseason, he was in the headlines quite a bit. Back in March, he joined Jordan Poyer, Von Miller, and Costa Rica for a ayahuasca retreat, whatever that is. It's a drug where, and I think it's a Native American drug or something where it embeds in your brain and makes you hallucinate. So he did that with a couple other NFL players. He was considered for vice president by RFK. So, you know, he's been in the headlines a lot. I feel like the least he could do is be in there for minicamp and his head coach and all his new teammates. Todd, what say you, buddy?
I think it's a bigger deal than most folks are making it. Look, first of all, he's never played with any of these teammates except for 4 plays in a regular season game. Yes, he's attended everything else, but in these OTAs and in minicamp and all this stuff that's mandatory coming up, this is where a championship football team is built. This is where your culture is built. You're the quarterback. You're the leader. You're supposed to be there. I know he had this quote-unquote planned. The Jets knew it in plenty of time he had quote-unquote planned. Why in the world would they have not nipped it in the butt a long time ago with the media and say, look, we expect Aaron to be here. He's probably not going to be here. And you could have made this a lot less story than it became. It was absolutely crazy on New York sports radio today. Aaron Rodgers, to me, needed to be there. He needed to change his vacation time when he in another slot and be there, because this is how championship teams are built. They're built right from training camp and in OTAs and minicamp. This is how a team is built. This is how a culture is built. This is where you're building camaraderie with your teammate. You're leaving your teammate saying, well, I'm on vacation, but you're there. No, that's not it. Everyone should be there. Hassan Reddick is not there for another reason. We didn't even talk about him. Reddick's there. He's in a contract dispute. So that kind of stuff is common in pro football for a contract dispute, even though I think he should be in camp too, coming over from Philadelphia, learning a new system defensively. This is a huge year for the Jets. Everybody's job is on the line. When your job is on the line, you shouldn't be missing work, whatever work it is that you do.
100% agree with you. Like I said, I say mild because the head coach is publicly saying he's taking care of it. So, supposedly there was another reason he missed an event that he pre-planned or had other plans for, prior engagements, whatever you want to call it. But it's very interesting that the star quarterback, who's 40 years old, played 4 plays, doesn't want to gel with his new teammates. Pretty good stuff there, TC. Guys, let's get to our final thoughts for the evening. I'll tee this one off, pun intended. The 124th U.S. Open tees off tomorrow night at Pinehurst No. 2 in North Carolina, one of the toughest courses in the world. A plus 300 favorite to win the tournament, world number 1 Scotty Scheffler, followed by Xander Schauffele at plus 1,000 and Rory McIlroy at plus 1,200. Just got back with his wife. No divorce for Rory. Is he going to be pumped up on this one? We don't know. But yes, Scheffler's an overwhelming favorite, guys. His plus 300 odds are the shortest U.S. Open odds since Tiger Woods in 2007, which was plus 250. Good luck to all the participants in the U.S. Open. Whoever makes putts at the end of the weekend, whoever's the most consistent putter, that's who's going to win this thing. No doubt about it. These greens are rolling. Todd, your final thought for the night, my friend.
Well, you open the show with Jerry West, and I'll end it. You know what? This is a guy, you mentioned he's the logo, but one thing, he was the NBA Finals MVP in 1969. He was on the losing team. The Lakers lost the championship in '69. He's the only Finals MVP that's been on the losing team. Every other Finals MVP in NBA history has always been on the winning team. That tells you what a great player he is. He was a champion in '72. His teams lost 7 times in the finals. 4 of them went the distance, 7 games. He's a 14-time NBA All-Star. He was the All-Star Game MVP in '72, 10-time All-NBA First Team, an All-Defensive Team 4 times, a scoring champion in '70, a 72 assist leader. He was on the NBA All-Anniversary Team 30th, 50th, and 75th. We know his number's been retired 44 by the Lakers. I just wonder if 44 should just go ahead and be retired and should be no longer used in professional basketball. As an executive, an 8-time NBA champion, 2-time executive of the year, the trades he made, the signings he made, the drafts he made. And not only that, they say he was a better person than he was a player and executive. That says it all.
Wayne, your final thought for the night, my friend.
Well, it won't be too much longer. I'll be out of this FedEx Forum background and back to my regular one. We're still moving back into the house after the remodel, so y'all just have to see an empty FedEx Forum one more time this show, and hopefully it'll be back to normal next week.
Oh, well, Wayne, one more thing. Can I say something, JJ? Wayne's going to like this. Hang on 1 second. This is good. Jake Crane, he has the show Crane and Company. He mentioned that Memphis could be one of the 2 teams from the group of 5 to make it to the playoff. They got a shot. They play Florida State in week 3. That should be one heck of a ball game. So maybe your Memphis Tigers will break that mold and get in the playoff.
Yep. That'd be
the old
good.
Mike Norvell special.
Yeah.
And again, Wayne,
Yes.
make sure Penny Hardaway validates your parking for the
Yeah,
night.
I'll try if I can find him. I don't think he's here tonight.
Well, I want to thank David Morris, author of Student Athletes Control Your Destiny, for coming on tonight. Go check out his book. Again, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, anywhere you buy your books, go buy it. For Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville, Todd in Woodstock, I'm JJ right here in Lilburn. If you like the content, please subscribe, and hit that notifications button to make sure you get notified when the latest video drops. Good night, everybody. Get you one. We'll see you next week.